Thank you so much for your time. I know you've been doing a lot of Q&As and a lot of interviews, and so we're so appreciative that you could stop in Texas and speak with us.
Thank you. I'm sorry if I'm a bit drowsy. I'm in a food coma, so.
I wish so much that I had this movie when I was 10 years old and when I was first learning about World War II, the Holocaust, and Hitler. Just because I had a lot of great sources for education, but I feel like I wonder where I would be now if I had had it, like what my growth would have been like. And if you had had this movie when you were first learning about it, what do you think? What kind of effect do you think it would have on you?
Well, I think I've always at school, I've always kind of been aware of World War II and aware of the Holocaust. It's something that is just part of I'm from New Zealand, and it's something that's part of our education kind of system or structure or whatever. Um, so I'd learned about it, and I knew the structure of World War II. I know the causes and the consequences and who was involved and kind of stuff. But I think the day to day life and the kind of what it was actually like to live back then. And um, there were a lot of gaps in that kind of area. And I think although this film is kind of, it's a comedy and it's heightened and it's people didn't talk like, that's not how people talked back then. And that's intentional. Taika, the director, wanted to kind of make it feel more modern so that it felt more relatable to the audience. But I think, yeah, just kind of seeing how Germans were, fighting, fighting against the Nazi regime, even, which is something I don't know that I don't remember learning about a lot, and seeing how like easily manipulated and influenced the younger people, the youth, the German youth was, and yeah, just a lot of things that I don't think people realize.
Well, it like disarms you. I think Taika, through all the interviews that I've seen him do, he describes it as like the comedy element disarms you because you're watching it and you're laughing, but then you're so good in these scenes where uh, we could watch it twice. We could watch it once and then laugh like we most of us did because we're specifically like there's the scene where they're looking at the book and then we're laughing because the character Steve Merchant's character is describing like what's in the book, yet the camera's pulling in on you and it's like crushing at the same time. Is it hard for you to kind of balance that tone, or do you put complete faith in Taika to just steer you in the right direction?
I think the whole cast and the whole kind of crew and everyone really put a lot of trust in Taika because this is a film that is really close to his heart. He's Jewish himself and he's been working on it for a long time. I think he started writing the script in 2010, 2011. So he's had a lot of time to think about it. And so he had a very kind of, he knew exactly what he was making and how he wanted to make it. And there was a lot of improv in the film, especially with Stephen Merchant and Rebel Wilson and Taika himself. But for my role and for Roman, who plays Jojo, for his role and probably I think Rosie Scarlett Johansson's role as well, we never really change the dialogue. I think a lot of films I've done, the dialogue is under constant kind of, we're constantly talking about it and going, oh, maybe they would say this, or maybe they would say this, maybe that doesn't feel right anymore. Let's change it to this. I didn't really do that in this film, but within the dialogue, I think there was a lot of kind of playing around and kind of, we had the freedom to give lots of different offers and see what fit. But I never felt like I wanted to play the comedy because I didn't think that was Elsa's role in the film. She's one of the more grounding characters. And like you said, which is something that Taika talks about a lot through comedy, that this film feels a lot more accessible to people of any age, but also mostly for people of the younger generations, I think, because this is a story that's been told so many times. And I think it might be a bit more intimidating for younger people going into a film like Schindler's List, or that kind of thing, where you know, it's a really important story that everyone should learn about, but it maybe feels like you're going in to be taught a lesson, whereas you don't feel like that in this film. And at the end of World War II, everyone, you know, we all said, never forget, we will never forget this. Last year, the Guardian came out with an article saying that, I might be getting this, it might not be exactly right, but I think it was 41% of Americans and 66% of American millennials don't know what the word Auschwitz means, which, you know, this film is, you know, is really important, but right now in this political climate, it's more important than ever that we're reminded of this time in our history and that we don't forget.
Very well. What I find kind of humorous and insightful is that you went into this role conducting your own research, but then Taika said, let's shelve all that. Let's watch Heathers and Mean Girls. It's a bit of it's strange at first to think about that, but it's a bit of an unconventional method that eventually arrives at like this truth, like a true character. And so, and I think you've described it as like it's a genuine character that is not defined by the Holocaust. Like she is a real person who had a life before the tragic event. And so, what was it like to kind of go through that process of him like saying like this is, don't, maybe not go for, I don't want to dumb it down as like the obvious choices of like sources to prepare for this, but maybe like go in taking this unconventional method and what that taught you, and how do you think you will move forward with your acting career with those utensils?
Totally. I think, you know, this is a comedy, but it's also something that deals with a very heavy subject matter. So taking on this role, I definitely felt a lot of pressure to I guess do this story justice, and I felt a heavy weight on my shoulders because I'm representing a big population of people who have gone through so many atrocities. So I kind of immediately, when I found out I got the role, I went straight into doing as much research as I possibly could. I read the diary of Anne Frank and so many other books with similar stories, and I used the internet to find out as much as I could. I already had learned about World War II in school, and we filmed in Prague. So once I got to Prague, I spent a lot of time in different synagogues, in the Old New Synagogue, in the Spanish Synagogue, and also in the Jewish quarter in Prague. I walked around there with a historian who was really able to fill in a lot of gaps for me about everyday life during World War II. And I went to Theresienstadt, which is a concentration camp and ghetto just outside of Prague, and was, you know, standing in those rooms. You can really feel the hatred and the fear that have kind of soaked into those walls. It's a really confronting experience, and it was weird being there where so many disgusting things have happened, and then walking back outside, and it was a beautiful, beautiful sunny day, and then there was this massive field, meadow, and it was the grass was green, and there were butterflies and you know, flowers and everything, but people had been shot, had been executed on the land that we were standing on. So just kind of realizing that history and you know, it was very confronting. And then meeting Taika for the first time in person and telling him this research I'd done, and he went, okay, cool. Now watch Mean Girls and Heathers. And I was like, okay. At first, I definitely was like, that seems weird, but sure. And then I kind of, you know, I understood it because the point of me watching those films was to realize that Elsa is, of course, a victim, and she's going through something that no being should ever experience, but she is not defined by being a victim. She is so many other things. She's lived a life before the Holocaust and before World War II, she's a teenage girl going, you know, through puberty and going through things that every single person on this earth goes through. She's layered. She's a talented artist. She's funny and smart, witty, compassionate, sometimes a little bit mean. She could have been a popular girl at school. She could have been a mean girl. She could have been anything. The audience doesn't, we don't have the privilege of knowing what she was before this time. But we do know she's so many things. And that kind of opened my eyes to the fact that there are so many different ways at looking at a character and approaching that character.
I'm going to open up to the audience, and we are recording, so I'm going to have to repeat the question before you answer. Right here.
What was your first reaction whenever you first read the script? How did you feel?
What was your first reaction when you first read the script?
I think just even like going into the script, I knew it was going to be good because Taika is so well known in New Zealand and is just a genius, to put it bluntly. He's amazing and has really cool ideas. So I was really, really excited just reading the audition scenes even. And after I read the script, it was the kind of script that glued to your hands. You can't put it down until you finished it. And it was really special, a really special script. And I wanted so badly to be a part of it. So feel very lucky that I was.
Right here.
Okay, so I was fighting back tears like the whole movie, and then when he tied your shoes at the end, I just like started bawling. I just wanted to know what your favorite scene was that you filmed in the movie.
What was your favorite scene that you shot in the movie?
I think the first one, probably the first time you see Elsa in that first scene, is the first scene I filmed in the entire shoot. And it really, I went into that first day having one idea of who Elsa was, and I came out of it with a completely different idea. Because on that day I realized, this girl's she's got a lot of guts. She's got guts. So I liked that, and I liked the cheeky that part.
Yeah. My name's Nathan, by the way, so that's why I was like, oh my God.
Julie?
Two-part. You're so bright and articulate. I hope that you plan to screenwrite or direct at some point on your own. Is that so? And if it is there a story that you would like to bring to screen at some point in time?
So you are yeah, that's a great question. Thank you, Julie. Two-parter. So you're so good in the film that you put off like so much creativity that we could see you directing and writing a story yourself. If you were to do that, what story would you like to tell?
At the moment, I'm very happy acting. I don't think I have the skills to be a director or a writer. My dad's a writer, and I see a lot of hard work goes into it, and I think it feels kind of intimidating at the moment to me. But one day I would love to. I'm really into Greek myths. I really love classics, and so I think I'd like to tell a story about some Greek myth. There's a book, or two books, one called Circe and one called The Song of Achilles, that I read recently that was they were incredible, and I think they've been optioned, but it'd be cool to be a part of those.
Mark Walters?
So I want to know everything about the day when you were dancing for the camera, and did you guys have music to dance to? How did you decide what dance moves to use? What was that day like when you were shooting?
What was it like shooting the dance moves, and did you have music on set?
I felt so awkward. I'm not a natural dancer, so it was hard for me. You can probably tell. But I think those scenes, they were part of the reshoots, the dancing scenes. And we filmed principal photography in the middle of Prague summer, so it was boiling hot. We were sweating buckets every day. And the reshoots were in the middle of winter. and I remember Taika dancing behind the camera, and I was trying to find some confidence in him and mimicking him a little bit. And also because of the angle of the camera, because it's like, straight on. In most of those takes, Roman wouldn't actually be in front of me, or I wouldn't actually be in front of Roman, so we'd just be dancing to the camera with a massive crew around us, and also like the just the people that lived in the town we were shooting and watching. So it's awkward.
Hopefully Taika wasn't dressed as Hitler, though, that day.
No, I think he had a big jacket on. Yeah, it was snowing.
Right here?
I gotta know. Obviously, there were times I'm sure he wasn't dressed as Hitler directing you, but did the direction change when you had to take direction from Hitler?
So did the direction change for you when he was dressed as Hitler, complete with the uniform and everything?
I think weirdly, although he was dressed as Hitler, Taika is so like the complete opposite of Hitler, as you would hope. So I never really noticed what he was wearing. I was, and sometimes I know that he would look at himself in the mirror and go, "Oh God, I look like that." But of course he knew what he was wearing, and he knew what it carried a lot of history. So he was careful, but like I said, we were filming in the middle of summer and it was very hot. We were filming in Barrandov Studios and the air conditioning wasn't great. And actually those studios were used during World War II to film Nazi propaganda films. So it's kind of ironic that we filmed this Jojo Rabbit there, kind of came full circle. But because it was so hot, he'd usually have taken off the top half of his suit and just be wearing his fat suit underneath. And also his mustache would have been like, he'd be sweating, so his mustache would be like halfway down, like down to his chin. And Taika, if you see him in real life, in person, he's got beautiful hair, which he loves. And but for this, he had to do that thing where you permanently straighten it. It was like it's straight permanently for like 6 months or something, and use a whole lot of chemicals. And he was devastated. I mean, every single day he was like, my hair, my luscious locks, they're gone. So that's kind of more what I remember about Taika and his transformation.
We got time for one more question. Right here? Do you know how many times they said "Hi Hitler" in the film?
Oh, yeah, a lot. I don't know. I think in one of the scenes where the Gestapo and Klenzendorf and Finkel come into the house, that just went on forever and ever. And you'd do multiple takes. So yeah, a lot. It's not something you want to say multiple times or at all.
You can go see it again and you can count them. All right. Thank you, everybody, so much. This film opens November 1st.
Thank you.
Thank you, Thomasin McKenzie, so much.